That's it, guys. This is going to be the new slide for the Hellcat Pro made by Apex, and I'm pretty excited about this one. But before we get started, let's go ahead and get some of the disclosure stuff out of the way. Apex did send me this slide to test out. They also did give me a promo code for you guys to use for anything at their site. I test and review a lot of products for a lot of different companies, and I always give you guys the most honest and unbiased opinion as humanly possible, even if sometimes that may hurt the feelings of the company that makes the product. At the end of the day, I just want to make sure you guys have all the best information so that you can spend your money wisely. Now, this particular project was brought to me I don't know, a little over a year ago. Apex reached out to me. They said, hey, we're going to make this slide for the Hellcat Pro. Are you interested in testing it out? And I said, well, hell yeah, I am. So here we are. Today's the day. It's in my hands. I put some rounds through it already. And today I'm going to go ahead and get some range time in. And then we're going to sit down and talk about the specifics and what I think about it overall. Let's go ahead and burn some gunpowder, and then we'll get to it. These bugs out here are fucking unreal. This is a new shooting spot. It sucks. Fucking bugs all over the place. Okay, so this slide from Apex, I want to start by saying I realize that it's not for everybody. A lot of people don't want to spend whatever, 400 bucks to put a new slide on their Hellcat Pro, when they could spend that kind of money to have their current slide, you know, cut for a direct mill optic and ported, and, you know, whatever other type of slide work out there. So I get that it's not for everybody. It's going to be for some people, but not for all. Personally, I'm really enjoying it on this gun. As you guys know, I have a couple of Hellcat Pros. I know I've got a problem. I just keep buying them. One of the big things that people are going to be drawn to about this slide is that it is going to be a direct mount for your HoloSun K series optic. So what I've got here is a 407K green dot mounted to it, and the slide does come with the right screws to be able to mount that directly to the slide. That's a plus because, you know, in a lot of the Hellcat groups, and a lot of the groups period, I see a lot of people asking questions about, you know, what screws are the right screws to use with this optic, with this gun. And so it's nice that Apex has included the correct screws so that it cuts the guesswork out altogether. Another cool thing is that the screw channels, they don't go all the way through. On their standard slide, the one on this side goes down far enough so that if you have a screw that is too long, you could potentially screw down into the pin and spring that operate your extractor, which can be a little bit of an issue. Nobody wants that. So it's kind of nice that, you know, basically what they've done is take the original design and made it better. Another thing that they've done, which I'm going to try to roll in some footage of this slide versus a standard slide for the Hellcat Pro. Another thing that they've done is the extractor, the ejector, they have changed the geometry of the channel, which has made a stronger ejection pattern. Now, does the Hellcat Pro really need better ejection of the shell? I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm not a machinist. I'm just a guy that shoots a shit ton of ammo every year. Now, I've never found an issue with the stock system. I think that it's a little bit inconsistent sometimes as far as where it throws the ejected shell. Sometimes it's like straight out, sometimes it's up, sometimes it's kind of forwards. At times it seems like it doesn't go very far at all. Now, the apex slide seems to be pretty consistent. During my initial testing, I was at the indoor range. You can't tell what ejection is doing in there because you've got a partition and shells are just bouncing everywhere anyways. But while shooting outdoors, I have noticed that it is pretty consistent. We'll roll some footage. You know, it's little things like that, the attention to detail, where Apex just tries to go above and beyond what the original manufacturers do with products, that I really respect about the company. In fact, part of the reason why this slide is coming out now instead of last year is that they wanted to get that portion of things perfect. They wanted to make sure that when this slide ejects a shell, that it's a good strong ejection and that it's not, you know, anemic like the original slide is at times. Now, when they asked me which one of their two slides that I wanted to look at, they have a classic and then this is the hex or honeycomb pattern. I said, you know what, send me this hex pattern. It's not something that I would normally kind of gravitate towards. So let's try something outside of my own personal preference and or comfort zone. And to be honest, I'm a little surprised at how much I like it. This texture, this grip texture, is actually quite a bit grippier than you would think that it is. It feels really good. I didn't think that having this hex pattern was going to grip as well as it does, but I'm pleasantly surprised. It's really grown on me in the last few weeks that I've been testing this thing out. Now, the slide itself does come as a partially stripped slide. You could look at it kind of like a stripped lower for an AR-15. It's going to be the slide. It's going to be a optic cover, and it's going to come pre-installed with these XS night sights. They are tritium insert rear and front, and then the front has the whatever, the orange dot in it as well. Personally, I don't really care about iron sights. A lot of people get real hung up on their iron sights and they kind of compromise on their red dot so that they have access to their irons. That's not me. I'm not really too into that. If I wasn't running a dot on this gun, these sights are actually really good. I do like them as irons, but I prefer my red dot. Well, technically on this one, green. As far as the sights go, in terms of co-witness, the sights should be just a little bit taller. You do have a little bit of visibility of the iron sights through the optic, but it's not quite as much of a co-witness as a lot of you would prefer. As a lot of you know, I think co-witness is bullshit anyways, so it doesn't really affect me. But for those of you wondering, the sights should be just a little bit taller. The sight channels are cut so that if you do want to remove your U-notch sights that come in your Hellcat Pro, you can go ahead and put those in here as well. That's going to be totally up to you. I actually kind of like these, so it's whatever. Now, as far as it kind of being a, you know, stripped slide, you're going to take most of the components from your Hellcat Pro slide to build this one out. So you're going to need your barrel, you're going to need your ejector, you're going to need your striker, your backplate, all of that stuff. Swap it over to this one and you're good to go. I've seen some questions about whether or not they're going to make one of these slides for the original Hellcat, and this slide will actually work on both the Hellcat and Hellcat Pro, but you will need the Hellcat Pro barrel for this slide and the guide rod for it in order for it to fit onto the Hellcat. I'm not sure why anybody would want to do that. I honestly don't. I'm not a big fan of the original Hellcat. I don't like the shorter grip. I know a lot of people do, but if you want to put one of these onto your Hellcat, you will just need the appropriate parts, and that's going to be the longer barrel as well as the guide rod. Now, the styling of this slide is pretty interesting. Like I said, this honeycomb pattern is kind of cool, but if you want to have this thing ported, there is a slot that's open in the top, and it does have the holes on the slide. We'll roll some close-up footage of that in here. I would imagine it wouldn't be too terribly hard to send this in and have somebody do some porting in those areas. I don't really know. Like I said, I'm not a machinist. I just shoot the guns. I don't really develop them. Here's the question though. The Apex slide for the Hellcat Pro, it's going to run, I think, $400. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think it's 400. Is it worth it? Would I spend my hard-earned money on that slide for the Hellcat Pro? I actually think that I would. Yeah, I know that's easy for me to say because Apex did send this one to me, so everything is hypothetical, but I think that I would. It's been my experience over the last however many years that I've been using their products that their quality goes above and beyond anything that any of these manufacturers uses. Now, I'm not saying that the Hellcat or the Hellcat Pro uses substandard, metals in the creation of their slides. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying, though, is that when you buy a product from Apex, it is going to be better quality than what the manufacturer made when they made that production gun and put it out there. I like the direct mount on the slide. I like having that. There is a debate, an age-old debate, about direct mount versus using an adapter plate. Some guns you can't get around it. If you have an M&P Core series, you know what I'm talking about. You have to use a plate. In this scenario, though, you can direct mount the optic to that Apex slide. I think that's a big bonus. I think a lot of people out there are also going to think that's a big bonus. All in all, I like the slide. I would definitely buy it. It is going to come out in FDE as well as black. They are going to have the two styles, the classic and the hex pattern. At the end of the day, I think this thing is really cool. I'm trying to convince myself not to go buy another Hellcat Pro and then ordering the classic slide to put on my third or fourth, on the new Hellcat Pro. I'm trying to convince myself not to do that, but there is a strong possibility that I may go buy another Hellcat Pro just so that I can buy that classic slide and install that on that one as well. That's how much I like the Apex products. Now, here pretty soon, when this thing actually hits the market, they're going to be available for you. Go ahead and check them out. Make sure to use that promo code 360TS so you can save a little money. $400 is a little bit for these things, so might as well save some money. On top of that, might as well get a good product through Apex. Hopefully that gives you guys all the information that answers all the questions that you may have had. If you have any more questions, feel free to hit that comment section and leave them for me. I'll answer them as soon as I possibly can.